Well, this is not Game Changers, although Game Changers yesterday was an absolute amazing show. I watched it this afternoon. Shout out to Carla and what she's doing over there. But hey, this is Tip Major. I'm with the sports affiliation. We got a grand show for you guys today. I mean, we got two IDP heavy hitters. We got John Macri from PFF. And then we got my guy, Matt Montgomery from Football Guys, man. I cannot wait to get these guys on stage. And here we go. Hey, what's up, fellas?
What is up?
How's it going?
Oh man, it's going so well, John. So John, talk to everybody. Tell everybody what you got going on at PFF, man. You're grinding it out. I watched one of your videos this morning. Like, dude, you grinding out the IDP list, and you said in your video, this is 100% accurate. This is it. This is it right here. So I want to hear from you, man. Talk to us. Tell us why did. I mean, we know your track record. We don't need to know that, but talk to us about what you got going on, brother.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, maybe a little hyperbole in there. You never know. You can't predict the future, right? Obviously, we would probably be in a different business if that was the case. But no, it's good, man. We're very busy. Obviously, free agency this week is a super busy time. It's only busy for like a week, and then we go right back to the rookie stuff. So just focusing on that right now. Reacting to the free agency stuff, building a lot of the rookie content and models and data and all of that stuff, getting people ready for dynasty rookie drafts and everything that you might need. So yeah, having fun. I love this part of the off season. This is really my favorite part of the year. So I'm glad to get to talk some football here.
It's crazy, John, how it is like it's really like our favorite part of the year, and there's no football being played. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. And Matt Montgomery, guys, talk to us, Matt.
Well,
this guy here is a football guy through and through. We've hung out together on several occasions with Football Guys, and love this guy's smile, love his personality. Matt, talk to us, because Iggy was going to come on here and talk a little smack to you, but I guess he started running.
He can talk smack all he wants, but he's talking to the Kings Classic champion, so I don't want to hear any of that nonsense from Iggy. No, it's an IDP show. I'm getting to meet John for the first time. I'm super pumped to talk a little ball with him, follow a lot of your content. So, John, I'm coming with the heat today, all right? It's going to be fastballs, hit you with a curveball. Let's see if you knock this out of the park. But I'm rocking my favorite IDP player / defensive player, Sean Lee, from the Cowboys back in the day. Loved that guy. So I'm going to be bringing some Sean Lee level hits today on this pod. Tip, thanks for having me, John. I'm excited to talk ball with you.
Nice.
Man, guys, look, so here at the sports affiliation, the Thursday Checkdown, our focus is helping people be more successful in fantasy football and in their leagues. But most of all, have fun, because if you're not having fun, why the hell should you be doing it, right? So I'm Tip. Again, I work with the sports affiliation. I also just recently signed on with Matthew Berry's football life, so I'm excited about that. So I can't wait to get this fantasy life and hang out with those guys. I've also worked with Football Guys, Roto Baller, and of course the sports affiliation again. So man, I love this community. I have fun doing it. So you know what? We're gonna go ahead and just get started with this thing. So look, I'm gonna go off the bat, because I mean, I'm a Raiders fan. If you can't tell, you can look over my shoulder and you should see, a logo there. But that I'm a Raiders fan, and the Raiders have been in the news for some really good things that they've done in free agency as far as getting some players. But they've been in the news more recently because of the debacle, the thing that's happening over there between them and the Ravens. So, John, the Max Crosby saga. Talk to it about its fantasy impact. Please let us know.
Yeah, wild one. Obviously, it's weird, right? Like, I kind of find it hard to believe that they won't still maybe be shopping him. We'll see what happens here, right? Because obviously, the return that they got, original return that we thought they got, the 2 firsts. Hard to not get excited about that, knowing that that's maybe the market for him. But the thing about a trade of a defensive lineman or a free agent signing or whatever it happens to be, like the nice thing about, especially the high end defensive lineman moving teams, whether like trade or free agency, is that it shouldn't really be like a major shift one way or the other in terms of their IDP value, because they're going to start. they're going to play similar snaps to what they always have. And because their production is more talent based, they should be able to produce regardless of the situation, right? This would have been the case with Myles Garrett last year if he was traded, right? That was a rumor for a bit, and before they gave him a bag. But Crosby, to the same relative extent to what he is, like I feel like the situation isn't going to create a massive shift, whether he stays with the Raiders or if he goes somewhere else. But maybe it helps a little bit if he's on a better defense, but I wouldn't expect a major shift where he's flying up or down the ranks depending on what team he lands on. I think he's a top 10 edge for me in IDP Dynasty. Still, he's even higher than that for redraft, and that's not really going to change much for me unless he lands in like the CFL or something like that. But I think he'll be perfectly fine playing in the NFL regardless of his team. But yeah, it could be fun if he's still on the Raiders. It keeps this jersey relevant.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. Is it a signed one? By the way, I see some. Oh wow! Oh, that's going to be worth some money, my friend, when he retires.
We'll see. Yeah, it's a nice one. Yeah, a gift from a friend, and yeah, still hanging up there. So yeah, won't come down even if he gets traded.
All right, so we're gonna go. Iggy's back. Iggy's here. What's up, Iggy?
Hey, what's up, guys? Sorry I was a little late.
All good, man. All good. But Matt said he's got some curveballs, some slinkers, some sliders, maybe even an Ephus pitch in there as well. So let's see what he's got.
Well, Max Crosby, the biggest news was 2 first-round picks, which people thought was crazy to give for an edge rusher, specifically from the Ravens. Now that the Ravens have somehow gotten out of this by hook or by crook, they signed Trey Hendrickson. Hendrickson is good. He's not Crosby. So I want to know, was this the right move for the Ravens? To go, okay, a guy post meniscus doesn't pass his physical. We're going to go with an older edge rusher or older than Crosby. And instead of kind of toughing it out and waiting for Crosby to get through the rehab process, do you think that's the right move?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think for Baltimore right now probably makes sense to them because they get to keep the picks, right? First of all, yep. Trey Hendrickson, he at least has a proven track record of being a high-end pass rusher. He's not, amazing on early downs or anything like that, but pass rush wise, he's right up there with the best in the league, right? Obviously, we haven't seen him healthy for, well, the most of this season, but when he was on the field, he still very much looked like the Trey Hendrickson that he was. Whether that continues, who knows, right? Because like you said, these guys are getting older. Max Crosby, not old, but he's, getting up there as well. So it is hard to kind of justify such a high price tag. But yeah, if you're a team like the Ravens, I think you want either one of these guys. I think you take the value there as far as just being able to sign him as a free agent, keep the first round picks, and still get better off the edge position. But yeah, it's look, personally in a vacuum, I prefer Max Crosby over Trey Hendrickson. But I think, for the Ravens right now, the way that it shook out for them, it's not the worst thing value wise.
Yeah, really quick to kind of follow up on that. If you were the Ravens GM, do you make that move?
Signing Hendrickson or making the trade for Crosby?
Well, either one. Which one do you think you would do?
Yeah, I honestly, they need the edge help. They got Mike Green, but they don't have much else. So you're in a window right now to compete. The edge position is one of the most important positions in football. You need to be able to get after the opposing quarterback. I think you take a shot. Why not?
Heck yeah.
Okay,
Gave him an easy one first. Gave him an easy one first. Gotta lure him in.
That was down the middle. That was definitely down the middle, hanging a little bit. It was definitely a hanger, and he banged it out. No, it's cool. No, it was still a really good question, and I think we have a third question from Miggy regarding the same player, Max Crosby.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can just throw you for a curve, and it's a deep curve. John, it's great to have you here as always. Is there an offense that has declined that you're looking to take IDPs due to that fact because of the inverse relationship? Is there any team that's offense you think is going to perform worse than they did last year and therefore possibly have some IDPs that could be worth some deep stashes?
Yeah, it's a good question. Man, as far as offenses that got worse, I mean, Indianapolis, I think has some decent IDPs. At linebacker right now, they don't, but I think that will change. I think they'll bring somebody in, and I think whoever comes into that spot as their LB1, I think could be really effective, because we don't know what Daniel Jones is going to look like coming off the Achilles, right? He's got the injury issues. Obviously, they traded away Michael Pittman as well, so there's a little bit of a decline there, I think, on offense, that some of these defensive guys in Indianapolis kind of go under the radar a little bit. Laiatu Latu being one of them as well, I think is a really good player who I think could take another leap this year forward and be effective. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of one. I mean,
that's enough. That was definitely an on-the-spot question. I didn't think we needed to rehash out Crosby. I think he's going to be effective. Maybe his draft stock will be impacted by this, but overall, he's still going to be highly drafted. He's going to be one of the first IDPs off the board. I don't see that much changing with Crosby, no matter where his spot is, unless they're like, yeah, this injury is, more significant than we all thought. Other than that, I think he's still going to be very productive. Three down defensive linemen are rare. Just how it is.
No, I got to actually kind of go back to Crosby. So the Ravens typically play a pretty heavy rotation. So I was worried initially when Crosby went there, not because I don't think Crosby is going to be the same type of player he is. I do believe he is going to be the same type of player he is, but I think he would play less downs. So selfishly, as a Crosby fan and fantasy owner in many formats, I was kind of pumped that this thing went back, because I just didn't – I don't know. I know the Ravens are going through a transition period as a team, as a whole, new head coach. I don't think they're going to change their scheme too drastically, but I was worried that Crosby going there would kind of start opening up the opportunity for him to lose snaps, not because of play, but just because keep him fresh, not maybe as many early downs as we saw him in the past. So selfishly, I was kind of pumped it went through, and I'm a Bengals fan. So it's always nice to not have an edge rusher, an extra good edge rusher in there, especially since we just lost Hendrickson, and now that hurts.
Well, I think he's going to be haunting you guys for the next couple of games too. But John, you produce some of the best analysis when it comes to IDP players. For example, the one you did with Sonny Styles. So I want to know from you, like, can you talk about your model? Can you talk about what goes through that model, what grade processes you give? And then also, could you talk to some in the upcoming drafts, who is some of your best linebackers, some of your best DNs, some of your best safeties out there, and even corners?
Yeah. So as far as the models go, I mean, anybody that's ever done that kind of thing, that it's lots of like testing and failing with different combinations of different stats for every position, but also lots of learning what translates and what doesn't, right? And I think, when it comes to building like a model or something like that, the important thing that I take away from doing that level of data analysis for years now is that there's no such thing as a guaranteed lock at the next level. There's no bulletproof stat either, because there's just so much uncertainty when going from college to the pros that we have to be able to, accept some level of instability, especially on defense, because it's much harder to predict than on offense. There's just more instability with the defensive side of the ball and its production than there is on offense. That being said, I only really recently became totally content with how like the hit rates shook out with the models for prospects after years of tinkering with the data and getting it right. So it's the combination of stats than it is one or two specific stats, and it's a data-based model as well. So it leans into a lot of the metrics that we have at our disposal here at PFF, and then the film side of it is brought in by like expected and actual draft capital, as well as some athletic testing data, stuff like that. But like defensive line, you're looking at, pass rush metrics, some run defense data, athletic scores, linebacker. There's, experience as a starter is key, production rates, some of the PFF grades as well for their careers, things like that. But like I said, it's not one specific data point. I highlight a lot of them inside, those images and stuff that are included in the model, but there's a few of them that are in there, and the combination of all of them together is what matters. But
and you talked about Sonny Styles, and I'm looking at a chart that you created for him, and you said 96 percentile rank. So I mean, talk about him for a minute, man. Like this, we already know about what he did at the combine, but talk about this kid.
Yeah, he looks awesome. He looks at like a legitimate top IDP option. I'm going to try to pull up his updated score, because it has updated since then. I try to update with like as draft capital expected changes, and as like the athletic testing came in too from the combine, because obviously he scored really well there as well. But he looks excellent. Everything about him, he checks all the boxes that we're kind of looking for as far as, you know, IDPs that could immediately step in and be starters. It's not a guarantee that he's going to get a starting spot. But I think if a prime landing spot, a team willing to spend a top 15 pick on him where he's currently projected, is a pretty good chance that he's going to get opportunity right away. So yeah, love that for Sonny Styles. And I think definitely, yeah, now he's up to the 97th percentile in the model. So yeah, been moving up.
So
Yeah,
I got a kind of a behind the curtains question here.
Yeah.
I'm new to the evaluating rookie game. Obviously, anybody can look at the combine and see that Sonny Styles blew it up, right? But we all know that the underwear Olympics aren't exactly the best tell for next level success. For instance, 40-yard dash. How often is a linebacker going to get 40 yards untouched? 0%, maybe 0.1% if they get a pick six. Is there a metric? If you had to, you know, I know you said there was a combination of a lot, and I 100% agree and understand with that. Is there one that you like to see them score highly on?
Not necessarily for the linebackers. I really like the relative athletic score for the linebackers. That's a big one for me because it takes in the combination of all the athletic testing that you're getting there. So for him, 9.99 was his relative athletic score, which is about as high as it gets, right? So just hitting well on everything. There are other positions like running back, for example. I do like the 40-yard dash a little bit more. You know, for a 3-cone drill for edge rushers as well is a big one, right? So there are different ones for specific positions, but for the linebacker position, I like to look at the athleticism as a whole. Also knowing how much the NFL trusts athleticism, as much as, you know, it's not a perfect hit rate when going to the NFL. The NFL themselves will invest pretty heavily in athletic guys. We've seen that plenty of times before. I mean, look, you don't have to look further than Trayvon Walker as the first overall pick just a few years ago, right? So things like that are all weighted in there, even though it's not like a super high weight. It's actually only just a one spot weight for linebackers. It is something that I take into account. Yeah.
Cool.
And Matt, did you have another question?
Yeah, I was just I love this part of the year. We were just talking about how this year, even though there's no football, it can almost seem like it's the most exciting at times. I really like the different metrics for different positions thing, and I want to kind of dive into that a little bit. Are there certain positions that you see just test better than others, and maybe their success rate isn't as easy to predict because everybody kind of does the same thing, you know, almost fractionally within the same kind of percentile versus like defensive players and offensive players? I mean, are there certain groupings of positions that are harder to evaluate? And if so, why do you feel that way?
Yeah, good question. Honestly, I find the offensive stuff is a lot easier to try to predict as far as being able to, you know, just look at the data and say that these guys are going to have a better shot. And the model hit rates kind of show that as well, right? Like if you look at the wide receiver position, for example, guys that score over a 9, we're talking about an 82% hit rate that land in the top 12. For the edge defender position, which I think is a really good one as far as looking at the data goes. Oops, wrong one. Anyways, it's not as high, but it's in about 60% or so for guys that are scoring 9.0 or above, which is strong considering that there's so many prospects that come into the NFL. Plus, you take into account that there's guys that stay in the top 12, so there's less spots, things like that. But yeah, I find offense is better. Defensive line is better. Linebacker is a little bit trickier. Like the hit rate for linebackers to land in the top 12 that score 8.5 above, 67%. So it's not too bad, but it's not as good as what you're looking at for guys like the edge position, wide receiver, running back, tight end, for example, as well. Just because there's so much instability on the defensive side of the ball, right? Offense dictates the play. They get to choose where the ball is going to go for the most part, and the defense is mostly reacting to that. So it just creates a lot of volatility in defensive production, and that definitely plays a part in it. So
that last point kind of almost almost as like a caveat of what you said earlier with linebackers needing that athleticism, because if it's a reaction play, you need guys back there reading and reacting and have the athleticism to almost, if they're behind on something, to kind of catch up to the play. So I really like that you at the very end of that said, hey, sometimes it's the inconsistency part that you just kind of throw a dart at. Yeah. But when you have these athletic guys that can react to what's going on in front of them, that's kind of where you'll see the difference at certain positions. So I appreciate that insight.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah. And it's why the defensive line position is a good one too, because it's more like combative nature, like as far as, you know, their play on the field, they're going one-on-one with offensive linemen. So they're creating a lot of their own production. They're not necessarily having to react. If they're winning and they're good enough to win on the defensive line rep by rep, then they're going to create production. Where linebackers, you could be a very good NFL linebacker and the ball might never come in your direction. Right? Same thing on the defensive back. So yeah, all those things kind of play a part, right?
So before we get to IDP Iggy's question, we're just going to have a quick plug for the sports affiliation. Guys, thank you for joining us tonight, the Thursday Checkdown. Guys, please just hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Follow all of us on there. You can see all of our tags, our handles. So please go ahead and follow us. And we're getting right back to the show with IDP Iggy's question.
Yeah, like I said, John, thanks for being here. I got a little bit more of a specific question for you. I think the Cowboys have been one of the most active IDP teams over the past calendar year, let's call it, letting people go, bringing on additions, including some off-season acquisitions. Do you think any of those are going to be impactful for IDP purposes? Are you looking at anybody specific from the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, I think they have some options there that can be good, right? Like I love Quinnen Williams. I think he's a really good player. I know he's kind of underperformed as far as IDP goes. I think he's better than probably what a lot of his raw production is shown a lot over the last couple of years. I think he could be a nice positive regression candidate as far as, you know, sacks go, especially. But I mean, DeMarvion Overshown, I really like if he can stay healthy, right? Like that's been kind of the problem with him is, you know, picking up these injuries, but late in the year, last year was a concussion. So hopefully that's not a repeat thing, but he looked good. You know, considering he was coming off an injury and he came back in, started, took over as their top linebacker and, was effective enough. He wasn't overly productive for IDP, but I think that can change for more opportunities as well. Rashawn Gary, you know, it was another one of those super athletic guys that the NFL loved coming out of the draft. It hasn't quite been, you know, overly effective IDP. That's been part of his basically lore now for his career. But we'll see. I mean, a new team, new setting, he might be able to deliver and be effective. Jalen Thompson, I like as a safety that they brought in, another guy that could be a nice piece there because their safeties last year were not very effective for IDP at all. So hopefully Jalen Thompson could switch that up as well.
Yeah, Gary's a great Robin, but he's not a Batman, right? So he has you know, impactful weeks, but I don't know if he's going to be able to carry. But I think it's going to be interesting because you know, if their offense puts up a lot of points, the counter to that will be their defense will be up against a lot of passing. So I think it's one team I'm monitoring, and I just wanted to get your opinion on it.
Yeah, nice. Yep, they got some good options there for sure. I'd like to see them bring in another linebacker. Maybe Sonny Styles would be pretty fun, but yeah, we'll see.
So I have a question for you, John. So my question for you is, give us a player who hit free agency just right now, changed teams, that their trajectory is going to be in the upward trajectory from where it was the season before.
Yeah, I think a few guys kind of come to mind. Well, one of the big ones that happened, I think it was yesterday. Yeah, well, no, maybe it was the day before. Leo Chanel, I think going to the Washington Commanders, he's kind of been a guy that's been buried on the depth chart there in Kansas City. He's been productive as far as an efficiency rate goes when he's on the field. He's just never really had that full-time role. And we'll see what Washington does. If they bring back Bobby Wagner, then forget about it. But if Leo Chanel is going to be a starting linebacker in Dan Quinn's defense, I think he could be a really effective guy because Frankie Louvu, he plays kind of this hybrid role where he's sometimes off ball, sometimes he's on the edge, he's rushing the passer a lot. So he's not the most efficient tackler for IDP, where Leo Chanel very much that, you know, kind of true off-ball linebacker type. And if he's going to get an every down role for the first time, getting a 3-year contract definitely helps his chances. So I'd like him to see a big boost in value. And then Devin Lloyd as well, going to Carolina, right? He had a full-time role just for one season in his 4-year career so far. Over the past 2 years, he's been basically a part-time player, hasn't really been effective. This past year, he was kind of an overachiever in a ways, because he made a lot of big plays, but not a lot of tackles at all. So he kind of made up for things as far as his IDP production goes. But I think getting an every down role in Carolina to be their guy there, I think he can be another one that I think sees a nice boost in value from last year as well.
Nice. Okay, Iggy, go ahead, ask your question.
Yeah. So my next question is, I got to change it up a little bit right here on the spot as well. Do you think Tremaine Edmonds is going to be a good fit in New York? I will just answer that one first. And do you think Zaire Franklin and Tremaine Edmonds can retain their value? If you look at Franklin as like a LB1 and Trey Edmonds as like a LB2, high end LB2 or better, do you think they're going to retain that value this year?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's always interesting when teams or players change teams, right? But the nice thing about, I'll start with Edmonds, I guess, is that he comes with a lot of starting experience, right? So teams are going to value that, especially one with a big need at the position after letting Bobby Okereke go. So, and like outside of last year, the thing with Edmonds is he hasn't like been an overly productive IDP, but last year he was like incredibly effective, right? Whether, that's going to be his new norm, who knows, because it's a new defense, creates new situations year to year, yada, yada. Right. But, I think we could see something in between there. So like you said, I think LB2 ish for Tremaine Edmonds makes a lot of sense for me if I had to rank 2026 linebackers right now. And then Zaire Franklin, I mean, it was a big dip for him as far as last year goes. He was I would say the biggest disappointment for IDP on the season, right? Because a lot of people were drafting him as the LB1, at the very least, a top 3 linebacker for IDP. So his drop off in production last year was huge. And he's been a guy that's been so consistent and so effective as a tackler, but coming off that drop off, it may look like an outlier if we're looking at his career as a whole. It's possible that, again, he starts to maybe trend in that direction where he's not an LB1 type anymore. Maybe he can get back to like at least a low end LB1, high end LB2 type. But again, new situation, new scheme, could definitely be the change that maybe helps him. So I'm not out on Zaire Franklin. I think he can still be effective because, again, we talk about the instability of IDP year to year all the time. And I think that could be in his favor, considering last year was so bad for him as far as his efficiency goes. I wouldn't mind seeing him kind of regress a little bit closer to his norm as well. So, I like both of those guys in that kind of LB2 range.
All right, Matt, go ahead. Hit us with your question, man.
Yeah, just to piggyback off the Zaire Franklin, I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious, right? With just kind of, is he going to come back to the form there? I like that he went to Green Bay, especially because they let Quay Walker go, which is going to lead me to my next question here. I'm a big fan of what the Raiders have done this offseason. We were talking a little bit about it. Oh, the boo was funny. We were talking about it a little bit off of air here. They added both Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker. And as far as I can see right now, and I haven't seen it today, I still believe they have Devin White there. Do you see which one of those guys do you believe is going to take the reins and kind of be what Devin White was this year, where he was kind of a completely off the radar guy until he got the green dot, and it felt like it came out of nowhere that he got the green dot, and then he was a highly productive linebacker all year in that defense. So we've seen that scheme produce a really high-quality linebacker. So you've got some pretty big names here, Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker, both now into the fold. Quay Walker was given more money, but they were both given a 3-year deal. So I'm leaning towards Walker. I'm just kind of curious what you're feeling in that defense.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how things look, right? Because it's an internal promotion, right, with Rob Leonard taking over as defensive coordinator. So there'll probably be some tendencies, like you said, from last year as far as the scheme goes. And the thing too, like it might not create 2 full-time roles, right? But I think based on the guys that they brought in, Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean, I think both of those guys justify a full-time role. The contracts help, obviously, right? So they're a defense that doesn't have like a ton of other options that, you know, you can go into dime and just roll one linebacker out there. So I think both of those guys can be effective. Whichever one that ends up being, it's hard to know, right? Because again, opportunity is the biggest thing. Usage might matter a little bit there if somebody starts rushing the passer more, things like that. I tend to lean Quay Walker a little bit there. We'll see, but we've seen Nakobe Dean be a really effective IDP as well. And yeah, Devin White, I mean, look, we talk about outlier seasons. That was one for him as well, because he had been really inefficient as a tackler for years, even before this past year. And while he wasn't getting a full-time job. So that also feels like an outlier season.
Yeah.
And who knows if another team is going to sign him, because he's still floating out there, probably ends up somewhere as a depth option. We'll see. But I mean, I like the Raiders bringing in Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean. I think that could be a lot of fun for IDP.
Yeah, we needed linebackers, man. I mean, that was one of our whole defense, besides Matt Crosby, was very weak, but our linebacking core had been hurting for some time now. And I was so happy when I saw those two names come through. You know, I immediately went to PFF and started looking up their grades and everything. I was like, okay, let me see what we're getting. Well, you know, because I mean, it's important. And something that you also said, John, that was important was the coordinators. So one thing that I'd started doing in fantasy football the last couple of years is I started looking at all of these coordinator changes, these coaching changes and things like that, learning how their schemes are going to be, you know, trying to understand what they're going to be bringing to the fold. Is that something that you do in IDP as well? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely important, right? Because you want to know who the defensive coordinators are, as far as which ones are going to run more two linebacker sets, which ones are going to run more dime, right? So that matters for who the LB2 is in that system.
Yeah.
But it also matters in a way to which defensive coordinators will run more zone, which ones will run more man, because zone heavy defenses create better tackle efficiency for our linebackers. Man heavy defenses are less effective for our linebackers typically, right? So those kind of things all play a part as far as like projections and stuff like that go. So I do like to look at it and kind of get an idea of what to expect from the defense. And it definitely matters for sure.
All right. Next, we're going to go to Iggy, which I think we already talked about the Zaire Franklin.
Yeah, we already talked about the Zaire Franklin.
We got him. So, okay. So next we'll go to the AFC predictions. So we're going to spend some time talking about this. Go ahead, Iggy. Knock this one off.
No, I was just going to say, John, in the Chargers League in Fantasy Football Sevens, I put him in there with an all Chargers group one time. So he's pretty knowledgeable about the Chargers. Of course, Tip's been over here pumping up the Raiders as much as we can. I mean, Devin White was so good, guys, in part because Geno Smith and Pete Carroll were so awful. Devin White was out there more. He had more volumes of snaps. It's just like a wide receiver. You know, if you get a bunch of snaps and you're in the heavy rotation, they're game planning for you. Devin White was able to capitalize on that moment. He made $1.2 million last year. I think he'll make more than that this year, even if it is a backup or rotational piece. He's not that great at coverage. That's another reason he got picked on. But let's go ahead and break it down. John, since you're the guest, why don't we have a breakdown of the Chargers? I was trying to think Lindenbaum would have been a great fit for the Chargers. Said he goes to the Raiders. I thought Harbaugh there would have been a good move for him. Hey, man, he does what is best for him. But how do you feel about the Chargers this upcoming season? Talk about the offensive line, because obviously that's the elephant in the room, but also a little bit of an IDP breakdown. They're honestly one of my favorite IDP teams. Tuipulotu. I can't always say it, but
Tuipulotu, yeah.
Tuipulotu, yeah. He's one of my favorites. But break down all of it, man. Give us an all-encompassing offense, defense, IDP breakdown.
Oh, man. So, starting, I guess, with the Chargers, like quarterback, offensive line, those are the big ones, right? That offensive line was awful, right? It was probably the worst in the league last year. It doesn't help to have Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt go down.
Right.
I think with both of those guys back this year, that is an undoubtedly like just a massive improvement. So that has to help Justin Herbert. It has to help that offense. Omarion Hampton, I think, being fully healthy for the full season, I think he could be a really effective back in year 2 as well. Still like Lad McConkey. it was a down year from him, obviously, compared to the rookie season. Aaron Gadsden, I really like as a year 2 tight end now. So I think the offense has good pieces. It literally comes down to that offensive line staying healthy and keeping Justin Herbert upright. That is a massive deal, obviously. And then on defense, I mean, Derwin James, one of my favorite players in the league still. His jersey's up behind me as well. So he's been the only like consistent top 12 safety for IDP every single year, right? Like as much volatility as there is at the defensive back and the safety position, Derwin is like the one constant every single season as long as he's healthy, right? Yeah. And then linebackers is a bit of a question mark. They need to bounce back as well because Diane Henley was also awful last year for IDP. Maybe. Yeah, and maybe Junior Colson finally gets on the field because, that's another one that feels like a bust at this point. But we got to see him healthy. If he can't do it this year, then that's pretty much it for him. But they did bring back Denzel Perriman, which is interesting. Another guy that needs to stay healthy, and then Troy Dye. So I mean, really, like if Junior Colson could get on the field and be effective, maybe there's some hope there because, Henley also needs to take that big improvement. And like you said, Tui Pelotu, amazing year last year as far as production goes. Khalil Mack coming back is definitely helpful. So, I like the team. I'm with you. I like the team. It's not an easy division, obviously, with the Broncos being as good as they've been. The Chiefs, are going to come back with Patrick Mahomes as well. The Raiders definitely can't be worse than they were last year, obviously, Tip, right? So they're improving as well. It's just, it's not the easiest division. And I do like the team though a fair bit. I always enjoy watching the Chargers.
So since we're talking about the Chargers, who I can't stand, that is the team in my division who the big red machine, okay, they get on my nerves. But the Chargers, just because I had to sit there and watch Damian Tomlinson, Phillip Rivers, and Antonio Gates just torch us time after time after time. and so anyway, we're gonna keep talking about the Chargers because I do have a question. Mike McDaniel is going over there, and a lot of times I feel like people feel like IDP, we gotta always talk defense. You guys know offense too. So we're gonna talk a little bit about this backfield because we know Amarian Hampton, that he's gonna be number one guy that'll be utilized. But I kind of feel like Kamani Vidal is being overlooked. And then I know they just signed Jarrett Patterson, but I think that was more just for a depth field. But I feel like, Mike McDaniel is going to use 2 running backs, and Kamani Vidal is being overlooked in this offense. And I think that he can carve himself away. What do you guys think on that?
Yeah, I think Vidal, and the other thing too, they signed Keaton Mitchell as well, right? So another ex-Raven guy that went over there to the Harbaugh connection. And I think Keaton Mitchell, a good player when healthy as well. So they could have a nice backfield there. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
No, you're good. I was just going to kind of piggyback off some of the stuff that you said. I find it very hard to believe that they could be any worse at the offensive line than they were last year. And they seem like a team that could go from worst to first on the offensive line just by health. They have 2 of the most noteworthy tackles in the entire league in Slater and Alt. And they've got a good quarterback, and now they're going to get pairing with the weirdness of Jim Harbaugh. They've got the eccentric personality of Mike McDaniels, who we've seen be highly creative on the offensive side of the ball. They in Miami, say what you want about the success of that team and kind of how it went downhill after a while. It seems to happen more frequently than just with the McDaniels, but we'll get into that at some other time, I'm sure. They were an effective offense. They had high-quality fantasy players at every position in every season. I mean, say what you want about Tua, but Tua was making Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill starter-worthy players. They had Devon Achane even last year, and I'm blanking on his name, the rookie running back that they had that came on towards the end of the season. I think adding those schemes with the Harbaugh mentality and tutelage that he kind of brings – I'm sorry?
Was it Gordon?
No. Gordon, yes, Ollie Gordon. Thank you. Bringing those 2 together – I think is going to be a scary coaching tree. And I do think the Broncos kind of caught lightning in a bottle in this division this year. I don't think that they're a bad team. And I don't think that I'm getting booed a lot on this pod, by the way. But I don't think Bo Nix is a bad quarterback. But how often are the Chargers going to lose their top 2 tackles? How often are the Chiefs going to be in rebuild mode or in bad mode? And how long is that going to last? I really think, and as far as the Raiders go, I like the Raiders. I love what they're doing. but I got to see it to believe it. I think this is the Chargers division to lose.
Well, you
I
will
think,
see it.
yeah, well, I hope so, dude. I'm really rooting for you there. But
Oh, hey,
I think Chargers division to lose. I don't think it's close right now. Am I crazy for that?
well, you're gonna have the Chiefs to talk about by default. So, let's
Oh, don't worry. I came up with a little something. I missed that
Well,
part of
no,
the show sheet.
I mean, you have some validity to that. I mean, you have to think that the Broncos are going to regress a little bit. You have to think the Chiefs. I mean, is Mahomes going to? I think with that signing that they just did with Kenneth Walker, getting him some help, shows me that they know that Mahomes is probably going to be there week 1. Like, he should be available or really close to it. So or it could mean that he's not available and they're going to run the hell out of the ball. Like, it's one of those things, but I really think that he will be there. But, the Chargers have always there's like a missing element or a missing piece and last year was the offensive line. Before that, the year before that, their defense was lights out. Their defense took a step back last year, but man, it's always something with them. It's like they always get the short end of the stick. And we don't, it's just always is how it goes for them. But I don't know about them finishing number 1 in the division. I think the Broncos can, with that defense, who I'm about to ask a question about in a minute too. I think that defense is still going to be there. It's still going to be there. Vance Joseph, I know that he was talking about in a lot of coaching circles, but he hasn't gone anywhere, right? He's still there. So yeah. I mean, I think that defense is there to stay. The offense, can it get better? We'll see. And I'm actually going to ask about the Broncos defense, John. Last year we saw that what they did was just crazy. You also have the Texans defense as well, who was another really good historic defense. But I just want to know, is it going to happen again? Are we going to get a Broncos 2.0? It seems like they made some players. Picked up some players during the free agency. So, what are we talking about for the Denver Broncos? Are we going to build on that from last year?
Yeah, I mean, they've been good, right? Their defense has been really consistent over the last 2 years. I think, they kind of surprised everybody a little bit in 2024 with how good they are. And then they just kept it going in this past season in 2025. And obviously Nick Bonito has been kind of the big engine behind that as far as the pass rush goes. And then Patrick Surtain in the secondary with a really good secondary there with Brandon Jones, Talanoa Hufanga at safety, which were new additions last year. They spent a first-round pick on Jahdae Barron. We'll see where he ends up playing because they also tendered Jaquan McMillian to play in the slot, which was where I thought maybe Barron would play, but maybe they like him to kind of continue to rotate in like he did in his first year. And then guys like Zach Allen as well. Jonathan Cooper, I think, is a really underrated edge defender as well, opposite Nick Bonito, a really effective player that I definitely think deserves a lot of praise for what he's done as well. And, linebackers, I like Alex Singleton. They let Dre Greenlaw go. We'll see what happens with Justin Strnad if he actually ends up staying the starter or if they bring somebody else in. But I'm with you. I think that defense is legit, and I think they can continue to be a big part of that team's success for this season as well.
Well, okay, so now we talked about the defense. We know how good that defense is going to be. But this offense, though, John, they just, there's holes in this offense. There's missing pieces in this offense. And then, you got a turnover as far as the offensive coordinator now calling plays, supposedly. So, it's one of these things, what are you expecting from the offense this season? I mean, last year it sputtered at times. It did have some good moments, but it sputtered a lot. So what are your thoughts on the offense this year?
Yeah, just want to see them be more consistent, right? Especially as far as wide receivers go. That was the main thing last year. A lot of guys that just, they'd flash one week, they weren't really there the next week. I love Troy Franklin, but I think, he really hasn't been just a consistent option in that passing game. And he's basically a starter for them because guys like Marvin Mims hasn't really hit. He's been another one. They just been kind of underutilized there. Pat Bryant is, again, somebody that's going to be entering year 2. We'll see if he can have some development there. So it's really just been Cortland Sutton for the longest time now. And I think one of those guys has to step up to be a consistent option. Otherwise, the offense probably definitely not the best in the division, but having that defense to back them up makes all the difference in the world. So we'll see. I mean, it's still super early in the offseason. Who knows what else they do? Maybe they draft another wide receiver again, or maybe they make a trade. Who knows what happens? But yeah, that's kind of the big thing with me. I agree. I think it's been a fine offense, but definitely there's a limited ceiling to that offense right now.
Okay, do either of you, Matt or Iggy, have a question regarding the Broncos?
No, I think I got a comment. I mean, they signed J.K. Dobbins back, correct? A lot of people don't like that move, but I think it's a pretty good move. Zach Allen got paid. It's hard to remember him as a Cardinal. He's just been so good as a Denver Bronco, man. And he's been really utilized well in Vance Joseph defense. I think that's going to be the anchor behind it all. The AFC West is going to be competitive, but I do think Denver will kind of rise to the top again. It's interesting. I always like to point this out to people. No coach has led two different franchises to a Super Bowl victory, right? Several have led two franchises to Super Bowls, but two franchises to Super Bowl victories has not happened. So I just kind of think it's interesting with Sean Payton there. They were pretty close, but once again, no coach can do that. So I wonder how it's going to unfold. I think they got great minds on their staff. I think they have the advantage of a good defense and a great offensive line. I don't think any of that's going to change. So I expect to see more of the same. And I think Bo Nix proved that he's a top-tier quarterback. I don't know if he's an elite quarterback, but he's a top-tier quarterback. So I think they're going to do well within the division and with that in and out of it. And I think they're another double, 12-win team again. I could see them going 12-6, 12-5 again, as if they needed to. So.
I liked what John said about the receivers. It seems like they've got a bunch of bridesmaids, but there's not one that's the bride. And I like Cortland Sutton, but I can't – I mean, maybe this is hyperbole, but I feel like he's got to be a bottom-tier wide receiver one in the NFL as far as your go-to guy, putting fear in the defense and like, okay, it's 3rd down and 5, and I have to look for a certain guy. Cortland Sutton being that guy – to me, just does not give me confidence that the breaks are going to fall the same way that they did this past season. But their defense is fantastic, and defense wins championships, right? That's the biggest adage or the oldest adage in football. I just think in today's NFL, while that is still true, the Seattle Seahawks proved that to us this year with the Super Bowl victory and the domination in the Super Bowl. You still have to be able to just get the yards necessary when it matters the most. And Bo Nix showed he can put the ball where it needs to be. I do think he needs playmakers around him to take that next step, not because he's bad, but because the team as a whole and the offense as a whole has a lower ceiling than it would if they did have some dynamic number one receiver.
Okay. I mean, they do have Pat Bryant, and then who's the other guy out of Oregon?
Troy Franklin.
But that's like we were talking Batman earlier. It's like, yeah, I've got Robin and Alfred. It's like, okay, but I want Batman, man.
Some of them are still. I mean, Pat Bryant's on his rookie contract. You got to give him a little more time. Quentin Johnston. What are your thoughts on him? I thought he did well, and I think they faded away from him because of Keenan Allen's productivity later in the season. But I think Johnston is turned out to be better than people think. He's on his last year with the Chargers, or did they release him?
He's still there.
Last year, right?
Yeah, it might be his last year now. Because he was a 1st-round pick, right? So they'll have the option of the 5th-year option.
I don't know if they picked up his option or not, but the whole point is like you got to give these guys a little bit of time. We'll see. Pat Bryant has got the tools and the size to be an elite wide receiver, I think. So, and Bo Nix is still developing. He's still on his rookie contract. So I think there's a lot to like in Denver, but they have to strike while the iron's hot because teams are going to come back. I think Patrick Mahomes could come back. New England's going to get better. There's just going to be a lot of competition, so they don't have much time to fire within this window, so to speak.
Well, we're gonna save the Raiders for last because we're gonna save the best for last. So we're gonna talk about these pesky Kansas City Chiefs. Boo them, boo these Chiefs, boo them, please. Yes,
we're down and everything. Shit.
So John, what the hell are the Chiefs doing? I mean, they just like it seems like they're just getting older and older on defense. What are they doing?
Yeah, the defense leaves a little bit to be desired, right? Like they're no real star. Like Chris Jones is a star on the defensive interior, right? But he's also getting older. the rest of the defense, I mean, there's guys that are good, effective role players, and together they make a pretty good defense. But I don't think it compares to, even like obviously like Denver, but I think the Chargers potentially have a better defense, at least on paper, right? How they perform in season is a whole other thing. But I like Nick Bolton. But getting rid of Trent McDuffie is a big one, right? That's huge for the secondary. So we'll see how they react there. But they brought in Alohi Gilman this offseason, who played well in the latter half of the season when he was traded to the Raiders. So he could be somebody after losing Brian Cook as well. So changes going on there. I think they need they need more of a pass rush than just Chris Jones, though. George Karlaftis, he's good. He's not great. He's a guy that will play a ton of snaps and he'll be effective by default, but he's not, an elite pass rusher, right? So I'd like to see them maybe bring in somebody that can actually play that role for them. But yeah, it's a fine defense. For IDP purposes, it's really Nick Bolton that we like the most. Chamari Connor has his moments as well at safety. Chris Jones for DT required leagues, and Karlaftis is definitely an option. But
is there any more hated or criticized of a good IDP player than Nick Bolton in the entire league? I feel like every year we're trying to find excuses for why we don't like him, as opposed to just appreciating what he does.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he set the bar so high. I think when his early in his career, right? Like he was just a ridiculously effective tackler for whatever that was the first 2-3 seasons, and then kind of fell off a little bit, right? There was some injury stuff there. So I think people have just been disappointed by that after investing so much in him, and that happens, right? And he bounced back, I thought, nicely this past year. I thought he was really good. So we'll see. Hopefully he could keep that going. If he returns to that form, obviously we're looking at a guy that can definitely be in that top 12 conversation for a few more years.
Oh, and also with Chris Jones, it's the correlation between a good defensive tackle and the high tackles of a linebacker and interior linebacker. There's a correlation across most of them. And if Jones is healthy and playing well, it allows Bolton to kind of come up. Although Jones can make a big play, a sack, a forced fumble, so forth. And that's why I'm interested in Hargrave and Franklin. I don't know, is he going to improve him? Is he going to take away from him? We'll have to see in this new scheme with people that we haven't even had play together. So I think that it'll be interesting to watch. But yeah, Bolton, go get him. If he falls, don't hesitate.
So okay, we got to talk about the offensive side. We're gonna talk Chiefs. Got to talk about the offensive side. Though they just re-signed Tyquan Thornton. Him and Patrick Mahomes, they had a pretty good connection last year, especially on some of the deep balls that he threw to him. So, is this something that is best ball leagues? Okay, we get it. We get that. You can put Tyquan Thornton on your team and just hope for the best, and there you go. But other than that, are you looking to even talk about him? Because you got to also understand Rashid Rice is in trouble again, and he may not even be there. So it might be another hodgepodge of Travis Kelce and a group of receivers, and maybe Tyquan Thornton does something because there's the trust factor.
Is Kelce for sure playing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He's back. He said he can't. He said he could only stay with Taylor Swift for about a month and a half, 2 months, and then he had to get back to training, man.
Well, I mean, they lost all the value.
Her,
somebody's going to have to do all the replacement value of Isaiah Pacheco last year. So
yeah. So I mean, the offense, John. What are your thoughts on it? Is there going to be a lot of Kenneth Walker?
I think there is going to be a lot of Kenneth Walker. I think they use that backfield as kind of a bit of a committee the past few years. They haven't really had a guy that they could lean on and just be that number one true every down back. I think Kenneth Walker can be that for them. Not the most amazing receiving back, but I think he could fill that role just fine. And they definitely paid him enough to be there and to be that guy for them. As far as the wide receivers, the receivers in general going, including Travis Kelce, it's a fine group. It's not amazing. Rashee Rice is obviously a big question mark. If he gets suspended again, I mean, who knows if he ends up playing anymore. But Xavier Worthy, they spent a first-round pick on. He showed some flashes when Rashee Rice was out in his rookie year, right? He kind of played a little bit more of a role than maybe we expected to in his first season. He was a little bit more than just a deep threat there. He handled a lot of the intermediate and underneath stuff as well. So he kind of did everything, and he did all right. He was okay. So we'll see if Xavier Worthy has a bigger role. And Tyquan Thornton bringing him back, obviously they liked him there. So I think it can be fine. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes makes a lot of these guys better, right? So That's a big part of it. But yeah, it's not like an exciting group outside of, I think, Kenneth Walker, because Travis Kelce getting older, just not as effective as he once was. Maybe they use him a little bit more in the red zone, and that's probably about what you're going to get from him. So, yeah, it's a good group, not amazing, but Mahomes solves a lot of problems.
All right, so we're going to talk about my team, the favorite team, everybody's favorite team, because you're all coming to the dark side. We're all
cue the booze.
We're going to talk about the Raiders. So we're going to get Matt. Matt, we're going to start off with your question for the Raiders.
Yeah, do you guys believe what's happening? Like, do you believe in the message they're sending to the league right now by actually kind of making some splash moves here? The Crosby thing fell through, so I guess that's an outlier. They originally moved him for 2 first-round picks, which I believe is fantastic, a fantastic move. He wanted out. It seems by all accounts it was handled great on both parties, so they attempted to move him. Now, it was voided, okay? Act of God, whatever you want to call it. But then they're adding a player like Linderbaum for a record-setting deal at the center position. He got $2 million a year extra than what the franchise tag was going to get. Nobody thought for a minute that he was going to get anywhere near that without the franchise tag. And they locked him up for 4 years. They got the first pick. It's almost unanimous it's going to be Mendoza, barring some sort of Reggie Bush. I forget the guy's name that they took over Reggie Bush for the Houston Texans back in the day. Mario Williams. I don't think we got a Mario Williams, Reggie Bush situation going on right now where it's not going to be Mendoza. It's all hype. It's all exciting. Do you believe this is actually going to work this time? I mean, you're the Raiders fan here, Tip. Do you believe it's going to work?
I believe that there's full-on commitment. I mean, you saw at the press conference, you saw the Raider greats that went there. You saw what Clint Kubiak said. Clint Kubiak's not a rah-rah guy. He's not going to be there sitting there talking. Like, he is the type of guy, he's very stoic. He's like his dad. His dad was like that. He's learned from his dad. He's learned from other coaches in the league, like the Shanahans. Like he has been just entrenched in NFL football his whole life. I mean, his dad's been he has been it. So I think that there is something to be said about that. Not to knock the other two guys that coached before him, but there's something to be said by that. And that's just the way he is about working. He is not, that's all he is about. He is not about, giving everybody high fives and all this. He is about working and putting the work in, and it's showing right now. Him, John Spytek, maybe a little bit of Tom Brady as well. Like they are all working right now. They are working, and we're seeing that, and that's why you're seeing a little bit of aggression in the preseason or in the offseason. That's why you're seeing, the Tyler Linderbaum. That was a little aggressive as far as pricing goes, but they know we got a need. We have a need, and this is a perfect fit for it. And that's just what it is. It's just there's a little bit different this time. So I think it's something that we can hear. I saw, they were giving the Raiders a 5.5 over under as far as wins. I think we're gonna beat that. I think we're gonna get 7 to 9. But I see 7 wins out of this team coming this year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a little high. Somebody's got to lose. I think it'll be a little bit more of the same. The Chiefs will improve, but I don't know. They're trying to make a message. Obviously, I think Ashland gets a big jump just having by Lindenbaum there. I think they're going to try to run the ball first, try to do what replicate some success that they had in Seattle. But we'll just see. Without a quarterback. You got a rookie quarterback. I mean, Peyton Manning had a terrible rookie year. It's just hard to come in as a rookie and excel in this league. So I think Mendoza will be up against it. But, luckily he's got a good center. I think they're going to lean on their running back. So 6 wins maybe. I'll give them that. Not more than that.
Really quick, to hype the Raiders, if you look at their roster right now, including the Crosby comeback deal, I mean, if you name – they've got 2 or 3 guys that can be talked about in the top of their position in the league. Linderbaum, Brock Bowers, Max Crosby. Genty, I think, was disappointing as a rookie. He's a rookie, so I don't feel like you should hold him as disappointing. But I think he came into the league with so much hype that everybody was kind of expecting him to just do this stand-up pose and then have 2,000 yards his first year in the NFL. That's just not realistic. But, I mean, honestly, they've got 4 or 5 guys on this team now that you can argue are some of the best players in the NFL at their position. And I do not think that you should look past that.
And our secondary too, guys. I mean, we just got Terrion Johnson from the Bills. I think our secondary is going to be a little sleepy now that you add Max Crosby into the fold. It's going to help that because John, if you have a good pass rush, that usually helps the secondary. If you have a good secondary who can hold those receivers, that's going to also help the pass rush. So when you have those types of things happening and a little cohesion happening, I think this defense is going to take time. Of course, I get that, but I think come 2027, we're talking about trying to take the division. Like we are really going to try and talk about. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is there, but I get it. But it's gonna be it. But John, before we go tonight, I thank you so much for being on here. Can you please tell the kind people out there what you have going on with Pro Football Focus?
Yeah, for sure.
Some other projects you have.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, and thank you guys for having me. A lot of fun. Always happy to talk football, talk some IDP. But yeah, you can find my work over on pff.com. Writing right now about 3 articles per week. That'll kick up to about 4 or so once we get closer to draft season and beyond that. And on Twitter at PFF_Macri. We got the PFF Fantasy Podcast. There'll be IDP episodes in there now every other week going forward. We're recording one tomorrow. Going over the rookie edge class with Joey the Tooth, also from Football Guys. So that'll be a lot of fun as well.
Love Joey.
Yes. All right, Matt. Tell everybody where we can find your great work, sir.
You can find me at footballguys.com. Right now, I'm kind of in the cave, so I'm just data analyzing. But once the draft hits, I start firing back up the preseason content, the post-draft content for IDP. And then I've got a podcast with the Dynasty DGens on Dynasty Rewind. I do that weekly through the season, but we're going to do some rookie stuff throughout the offseason and then some preseason work. The most notable thing that's coming up for me on Football Guys is I'll be doing preseason training camp reports for last year was 3 teams. So looking to get 3 or 4 teams this year too, to do weekly updates on various camp stories. Gotta love camp drama.
Yeah.
I'm Tip.
Gets the juices flowing.
And I'm Tip, and the dude with the dope dreads. That's Iggy. This is the sports affiliation. We're out. Peace.
Hey, and real quick, when it comes to Matt and our IDP Kings Classic,
yeah, crown your boy, crown your boy, King Monty Reigns.